Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, making some really good trades. And today we're going to start a new series of economic talks with my head trader here, and we're just going to call him Alex for the time being. That's not his real name, but we're going to call him Alex. And yeah, we're going to take it away. Alex, what do you think is going to happen in the short term for the stock market? What's going on with the markets? Why are we selling off?
What are you talking about short term? We talking like couple weeks or like next couple months?
Sure, the next couple
Couple
weeks.
days?
What's going to
Next
happen
couple weeks?
end of the year, by the end of the year, the next 12 days.
Next 12. That's a good question, man.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
next 2 weeks.
I don't know how.
Why are
I
we
mean,
selling off so hard?
Oh, we're selling off right now because fucking tech is taking a dump. They're dropping, man. Adobe led the fucking
I could see
led the
that.
slide there. It's like what 18% right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Jesus
we're
Christ.
down. We're down a lot right now. Adobe is
Yeah,
down.
they
Yeah,
led the tech slide, and everybody knows that tech holds the fuck and index is up right now.
yeah.
And so if they fall, everything falls. So
The SPY is actually taking a bigger hit than I initially thought. The Dow's down since the market closes down 1.36%, but the
I think the
SPY.
Dow's the only one that's not looking terrible. I mean,
It's oil, right? But if Omicron gets worse, then they're gonna price in oil again at like $30 a barrel, $50 a barrel because
oh my god.
everything starts to sell off. They're gonna say, "Oh, COVID's getting worse again. Nobody's gonna use oil. Nobody's gonna go out, and then the oil's gonna start falling, and the Dow's gonna collapse again."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if oil will ever, like is gonna collapse. I think it's still gonna go higher.
Yeah, I mean it's a commodity, and inflation's getting worse. So yeah, I think oil long term will go over $100 a barrel, but right now,
Easily.
in the
I can't
short
afford
term,
this.
when
My little car is getting fucking. My gas tank is like, I'm filling up for like $80 right now. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I gotta put Primo in that thing, man. I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
just start putting canola oil in there instead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I should be doing. But yeah, I
Anyways,
think diamonds are not looking terrible. Spy did get hit a lot more than I thought, but they're sitting on resistance right now,
Mhm.
like right on where I got my fucking
Mhm.
resistance line there. So
Yeah. On the
I think the one that took it the worst definitely IWM, man. IWM definitely broke some
Let's go
some
look at
pretty
that.
big support levels.
Oh, the Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, you look at the Russell. That's for me. That's on ONDA where I trade. That's called. It's just called the US 2000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just the Russell. The Russell
Not
is hurting really hard. Every time there's like a huge move, we're back into that resistance box for the Russell for me.
Yeah. Russell's have been consolidating since like March.
Yeah.
They've been in this fucking big old channel there.
Yeah.
How
So-
you doing in our fucking our fucking short?
Oh,
Man, I don't know if the
I-
viewers know, but we've been short for a
Oh,
while.
I told the
And
viewers
Has
know
not been paying off because the market is just not reacting the way we
too
thought
too
at
much
all.
too much money, fighting the Fed. So we shorted at 42.50. We're at 46.30 now. So we're down.
I got two shorts actually. I'm shorting the diamonds and I've been shorting the spy for a long
Okay.
time.
So we've been short even longer. So I've
Yeah.
been short since like, I don't know why my trading view is doing this. It's so annoying. I think there's a setting that I need to reset or something. But every time I put my mouse, the chart tries to lock in on candles instead of just letting me do whatever I want. Anyways,
Yeah.
I've been short since there, so I'm down like 9.41%. It's unfortunate, but we're gonna hold because eventually
Yeah,
we're
but,
gonna
I mean,
we're gonna
these
be
are
right.
long-term holds. We knew that like when we put in these shorts, we definitely were playing a little bit of a longer game. Like
Yeah.
we know that we're not gonna see real decline until 2022 to 2023, and we'll talk on that a little bit because while the Fed came out with their plan for 2022 with their 3 rate increases, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, in 2023 we're gonna do 4 rate increases because why not? Fuck it.
Yeah, well, their plan is useless and it's hopeless and it's not gonna do anything because it's too late, right? It's the Fed's always too late to act, right? What's inflation at right now? 7.2%, right?
For what they report, but
Right,
as
and
we
then
all
you
know,
got
that's
rates
not
at
accurate.
all-time low. It's next to zero, or you could just call it zero because it's basically zero, right? 0%. So you're losing 7.3 or 7.2% annually, right? Now
Well,
and then the IMF is judging Turkey because they have a 7.2 negative loss because their inflation's at like what 20%, right? Their inflation's at 20%, and then they raise the interest rates to 12.6 or something, or 12.7, right, to fight 20% inflation, but then they're still getting a loss of 7.3%, and then the IMF is judging their country like, oh, they should raise the interest rates more. Well, the US is the exact same thing. They have the exact same loss. They're also losing 7.3% due to inflation, but no one's judging them. You know.
But the thing is, if not more, because the way they judge their inflation is flawed completely. Like they use made up statistics, or like fucking. How were you explaining it the other day for the CPI for real estate? There, they take the rents. And they
okay. So the way the way they calculate rent for the CPI, is they don't actually call people who rent houses to other people. They just call random homeowners in the U.S. and they say, "What would you charge for rent?" And they just call random people. Eventually, once they accumulate a good amount of people, then they pick and choose which rent prices are valid. They're like, yeah, that sounds like a good price for rent for that house. And then they'll put in.
Have no idea.
And they have no idea they're not in the market for rents. They're not in the rental market.
Homeowners, they're paying mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, a house, 1,400, I guess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Toronto. What are you renting a house for in Toronto? Fucking like 2,500 right now.
Oh, for a house, it's like I've seen people pay up to 3,500.
Yeah.
For a house, to rent a condo, you need, or like an apartment, you need 2,300.
And these prices are going up.
Like for a decent sized normal condo, you want like a really bad place that you could get it for much cheaper. But
so
those prices are going to increase.
Year over year, they're saying, oh, it's like 7% with their fucking made up numbers. But in real life, we're talking 50.
I know they're not in the real world when they calculate these things, and then people are going to suffer for this.
And you think it's just like, oh, we're just talking about real estate, right? Like rent? No, that's everything in the CPI is done that way, like a crazy way. So how accurate is that number? Or
it's funny too because it's starting to blow up in their face that their own rig CPI is not working. It's getting out of control. It's like, why is it at 7.2%? But in reality, inflation is more like 15%. Because nothing has just increased by 7.2%. The used car, the prices, the market for it has increased more than 20%, right? And then houses have increased like 20%. A house 2 years ago was like 700,000 is now selling for 1.3 million, and then people are like, that's normal. I'm just like, what? That's fucking crazy.
In my area, I was talking to one of my neighbors there, and I was like, how much did you guys pay for your house? They moved in maybe like 7 years ago. They're like, oh, 80 grand. I'm like, you know how much I paid like 400 grand for this fucking house. What the fuck is going on? You guys at 80? Jesus Christ, you guys are gonna pay it off in 5 years. It's gonna take fucking 30 years to pay mine off. Ridiculous.
And that's if they keep rates low, That's if you can.
Yeah. Lock it in, boys. Everybody that's listening right now, lock in your mortgages.
Lock in your fixed rate, low rates. I know exactly. Like there was a hint in the banks that they were gonna raise the rates. The GICs rates were actually raised prematurely before they raised the Fed rate, like announced raising the Fed rate. They start raising the GIC rates because you're not making anything. Of course, it's not attractive when inflation's so high. No one wants to buy guaranteed investment certificates that yield you fucking negative 5% every year. How stupid are you?
Yeah, but I think everybody let's even talk internationally. They're like just slow walking to this inevitable fucking increase in rates, man. I think the only bank that's like actually kind of doing something is the Bank of England.
Are they?
They're the only ones that raise their rates to try to like aggressively combat this.
What's the rates at in England now?
I don't have the number on hand.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I know some countries are scared too. Like I know Ireland started increasing their gold reserves because they're trying to hedge. Shanghai bought 20 tons of gold. It's not Shanghai. It's Singapore. Singapore increased their gold reserves by 20 tons. It's their biggest purchase since 2000.
Yeah, Swiss, the Japanese, ECB, they're all fucking taking it.
This shows you that there's a huge loss in faith in the dollar. So you can't tell me the dollar's strong. I don't know why the DXY is increasing every day. We got huge increases in the DXY. Inflation goes up, the DXY goes up. That means the dollar's getting stronger. I was like,
we're definitely going to see some weakness in the dollar come in.
It's good.
What are we sitting at right now? Like 97 or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
96.67 for the dollar. It's crazy. It's completely backwards. It's kind of like the '08 crisis. Mortgage funds.
what do you think are the biggest factors causing this like weird fucking bubble? Because like that, the hardest thing for
Okay.
us, like the technicals speak for themselves. It's not hard to follow the chart.
Yeah.
But when we look at the fundamentals, like macroeconomic kind of things,
Yeah.
what we've been seeing has been going against everything we learned in fucking school.
So I'll tell you why the DXY isn't going down. And
Go ahead.
the markets are pricing it in. Traders and big hedge funds are pricing it in like the Fed is going to be able to fight inflation. The more inflation rises, right? The traders think, wow, if inflation's at 7.2% and keeps increasing, the Fed's gonna have to raise rates so much and so high that that's exactly what's gonna happen, right? Because that's what they think is gonna happen. It's gonna raise the dollar. They're gonna have to lower inflation. They're gonna have to tighten monetary policy, but that's not what they're gonna do, because they can't fight inflation. They're wrong. They're not doing the math properly. Inflation's at 7.2%. Right?
I think I think they were trying to like delay this recession, but we're turning it.
They're just kicking the can down the road, like Peter Schiff says. They just kick the can down the road. They're like, we will deal with this later, and now we're at later, right? You got such low rates, right? And you got so much debt. You won't be able to raise the rates, because if you raise the rates, you're gonna collapse the economy. Everyone's gonna start defaulting all their crap. All the revolving debt's gonna increase like crazy, right?
Yeah. Shout out Peter Schiff's podcast there. We here listen to him a lot because we love to hear fucking negative news like that. He's such a bear, man. This guy's sitting in Costa Rica with his fucking tax-free accounts and he's just fucking laughing right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, in the 1970s, when you had inflation at 12%, 13%, Paul Volcker had to raise the rates to 20%, to 17%, just to be able to combat that type of inflation. Now the Fed now has 7.2% inflation, and they're saying we're gonna do 3 rate hikes in 2022, and it's gonna be like a quarter of a basis point. So you're gonna get to a 3/4% interest rate to fight 7.2% inflation, and that's just saying if it stays at these levels, which it's not. It's gonna increase, right? It's gonna keep increasing.
What do you think the number is, like year over year, that it has to get to before we take drastic?
I think once we get to maybe 9.
And again, for everybody listening, this is their fucking.
This is their rigged CPI.
This is their rigged number.
Yeah.
What rigged number do we have to get to?
They've changed the CPI so much that it's just so low all the time.
Yeah, and then they started saying, well, we got to do like inflation averaging over years. Yeah. So like so they're essentially punishing us for having low inflation some years. Like it's like, because when they say 2% is our like 2% was before our limit, right? But limit doesn't mean target. We shouldn't aim for 2% inflation, you know? And now they're saying it's the minimum 2.5 inflation. It's now the floor. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I just don't know anymore. It's so they're so far gone. There's nothing that they can do now to fix it. What they need to do is the right thing, is just stop printing. It's really difficult now because it's going to be so bad once you eventually do it. But I feel like once the inflation gets to maybe 9, if we even get to 10%, then the markets are going to panic, and the Fed's going to have to do something. They're either going to have to fight it, or just going to say like, that's not that bad. Because if they raise the rates, then like panic like that fast, then the market's gonna panic. They're gonna run to gold. They're gonna escape the dollar, or they're gonna try to sell dollars to get it.
Volatility's already so high in the market.
What's
We're
the
talking like
what's
1-2% moves are super common.
What's the VIX at? The VIX at 21.
Oh, we all know we don't want that VIX over the 20 mark.
Once we're over the 20, it's already bad. We had a small spike to 34 once we had that dip the other day, last week. Yeah, we went up to 35, and then we came back down because the Fed had the FOMC meeting, right? Their rate hike plan that's so well thought out. So now this is what people think too, because the Fed keeps reassuring the market. They're like, okay, for the whole year, every month of the year, when we had our meeting, on our FOMC, the Fed's minutes, we've been saying that inflation is going to come down, or it's going to remain under 2%. It's going to be maybe a little bit over 2%, right? But not too much. All right, now we've reached the end of the year. Every month they've been saying it's transitory. We reached the end of the year. Okay, it's not transitory. Okay, but we're not wrong. We weren't wrong, which
Yeah.
basically means you were wrong about inflation being, remaining under control and just a little bit over 2%. Now we're at 7.2. Now they're saying in 2022, well, we don't see it going more. We see it coming back down to 2.6%. Okay, now you're saying it's going to come back to 2.6%. Well, you were wrong the whole year. Why should we fucking believe you now? You were wrong the entire time. You've lost all credibility. But the market's gonna believe it, because it's the government, and they can't be wrong. That's what's that's what's
Government
gonna.
can never be wrong.
No.
They know the best for all of us.
So now that's why like the market's starting to calm down. Like, oh yeah, they got it under control. Three rate. If we get inflation down to 2.6% and the rates are hiked to 0.75%, then that's okay. Right? That's okay. But what if they're wrong? Because they were wrong before, they're gonna be wrong again. They weren't right in the first time, they're not gonna be right now. They were wrong in 08 and they were still wrong today.
It's hard to judge all this. Like, we have to factor in what the government is doing and how it's going to affect the market. And then we got this fucking pandemic that's also on top of this. Omicron's coming up. How do you think Omicron's going to fucking
Okay, so this is what
mix into this fucking inflationary fucking...
I don't work in the medical field and I don't know much about like diseases and stuff, but I can tell you that I keep seeing the media blowing this out of control, that the rates are the COVID cases are getting worse, lockdowns are implemented, and that's all the market needs. It's just to see the media panic and get scared and lockdowns implemented. Now that means you're going to have more supply chains issues. You're going to have less people working, less people producing stuff. That means we need to import more. The deficits are going to get bigger, right? And this is all very, very, very bad. That means the Fed's going to have to print more money to start up all these new COVID programs once again. Obviously, I'm speculating if Omicron does get worse and stuff like that. But I do think it's going to get worse because, the Fed needs another excuse to print more money and put more inflationary monetary policies. I don't know why people say this is deflationary. I don't know what planet they live on. When you print money and then you have less people working and then they say, yeah, that's the deflationary policy. What do you think? Because
I'm shaking my head right now.
Because it goes against everything we learned in basic economics.
It gives me brain aids to think what the government's doing as far as their fucking printing.
Yes, printing more money.
Can you show everybody the fucking that chart that we always look at, the fucking year-over-year printing since like the 80s?
Oh, the M2
yeah, where the fuck
Oh
we are.
yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
God, I wanted to print that and make it into a giant like fucking painting for you so you can hang it in your office.
So M1, M2. So M2. We'll start with M2. Wow, this is a steep chart. this thing skyrocketed. It started like 1981 when they started calculating. Basically, when we came off the gold standard, and a bunch of money would start printing. It started, climbing from, I guess, the $1,600 levels, and now we're at 21,000. We had a huge jump in December of 2020. Basically, when COVID-19 hit, we had a huge spike up, and now we're up. Let's see how much we're up on M2. M2 is up over 37% in like less than 2 years.
Yeah, that's healthy.
That's healthy, good growth.
That's healthy, good growth.
That's good growth. We got M1 too. M1 was from January 2020 up to today is up 386%, but like this.
How does I don't really know the relationship between
I don't know how to
crypto markets and inflation, because I know people were thinking that like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that was going to be an inflationary hedging.
Technically is. I mean, it's a scarce asset. It's just that the reason it's going down.
I also know Bitcoin has a tendency to follow normal indexes. Like,
yeah,
if it's a negative day there, it's a negative day here.
Right. So like I want to bet you that once the market does start to drop, gold is an inflation hedge, but will also drop as well because it's the initial sell-off and people sell.
Yeah,
It's all
it's a
it's
scare.
it's all outgoing, right? And
Yeah.
Bitcoin is even more volatile, and even people can sell even faster, and it's 24/7 selling. There's no stock market breakers. You can't stop the falling of the price, and then when it drops fast. It drops hard, and there's even more leverage in crypto. There's more liquidations, so you're probably going to see it drop substantially.
I need to get back into that world. It took a little break of the fucking crypto trading
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Or Head Trader took a break, and it wasn't in the chat anymore, giving everyone
No.
financial advice.
Sorry, guys.
By the way,
I don't give financial. This is not financial advice.
a Head Trader is not Daniel, guys. Daniel is his own animal. He's his own.
Do I sound like a Daniel? Come on.
No, you're not a Daniel. But Daniel's a good guy.
I bet Daniel's a good guy.
Yeah.
I know fucking Rick hates me.
Okay.
I love Rick, but Rick hates me.
That's okay. Rick will warm up to you eventually.
No.
Anyways, where were we? What were we talking about?
I don't know, man. We're just talking shit.
Yeah.
Just like the government right now. They're just talking shit. They
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing.
Anyways, they won't be able to tighten The bottom line is, they won't be able to walk away from this unscathed. There is going to be a big event that's going to come and just wash everyone out. If they raise the rates, the whole economy depends on low rates.
Well, yeah, right now, yeah.
In 2018, they tried to raise the rate. They tried to tighten, right? And there was a huge rejection in the market and the economy. The markets fell 17%, and right after they saw the markets fall 17% because they started hiking the rates. They did a 180 on it. They're like, we need to stop this. We need to stop the tightening. We need to start more quantitative easing. I was like, what the fuck? You had a good going. That's the whole reason.
I wonder if we're gonna have like a 2008 thing going on with the housing market.
So the thing is with the housing,
because yeah, we had this big boom of people buying houses when it was low interest.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as it goes, if they even with the taper, right? Even if you taper up to back to 10%, it's still 10% at the end of the day. People aren't gonna be able to afford that.
Yeah. So.
Especially with these prices
with housing in 2008, you had the problem was the housing market in 2008. You had a lot of really bad loans, and with a lot of variable rates, right? So when those variable rates expired, when those teaser rates expired, and the rates shot up twice as much what they were, people just start walking away from their homes and defaulting because you're not gonna pay. Why the fuck would you pay a huge, a $800,000 mortgage for a house that's now worth $600,000, and on top of that, your rates have gone up, so you're paying more interest? You're just gonna walk away. Everyone started walking away from it. Everyone started defaulting, which means all the mortgage bonds started going to shit, and all they were all rated AAA, even though they had triple B and junk bond level, mortgages in them, and then they start, and then the banks started unloading these mortgage bonds onto everyone else and started shorting them themselves. So then the prices start to crash, and then there you go. There's your bubble popping because someone realized, they're like, oh, this is a lot of shit. We gotta get out of this.
Yeah, we got multiple bubbles now, converging into one large fucking bubble.
There is a lot of bubbles at the moment, but it's
just a little pinhole.
It's all coming from the same.
Leaking out a little bit.
It's starting to leak out, but it's all coming from the same problem. It's the Fed printing too much money.
Yeah, it's the government.
But you can't blame them. It's like if a heroin addict said, I'm gonna get off heroin, and then they're like, okay, I'll do it next week. And they just keep kicking the can on the road. Yeah. And when they do when they try to do it, it just hurts so much in the short term. They're like, I can't do it. I need to start doing more heroin to keep me going.
Well, I mean, if we talk about the markets being a heroin addict, they've gotten used to a pretty steady supply of fucking printed money. As soon as we stop that, they're done.
Exactly. We'll see. Short term's gonna see. In the short term,
I'm ready. I'm ready for the fall. I got my position. Our positions have been in place for a while. So.
I actually, for everyone that doesn't know, I actually entered a new short position on the Dow. I am long-term bullish on oil, but I could see a huge rejection coming right now, possibly from COVID. I'm actually very curious to see what's going to happen on Sunday night overnight markets when we open at 7 p.m. I'm actually expecting a pretty big drop just because of people panicking of COVID. You know, I don't know if people know, but in our country we actually have a lockdown that's starting once again. So the lockdowns are starting. I believe Sweden is doing a full month lockdown, and their inflation is already even crazier than ours. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're not looking good.
No.
Yeah. Well, talk about the positions you got open right now.
Yeah, so I got a short on the SP 500. Been holding that for a couple months now. That one's in the red, but the US, on the Dow Jones, that one's a recently opened one. Opened that on Monday morning, and it got filled at 3600, or sorry, 36,000, shorting the Dow Jones at 36,000, and everything else is mostly gold stocks and oil, just holding stocks, value stocks, because that's what you want to hold in inflationary environments. You want to hold companies that produce stuff in actual value, right? You don't want to be holding speculative growth stocks in a huge inflationary environment, which is what we're in right now, and it's gonna get worse. But
I don't want to say I'm kind of doing that, but
yeah, you got the same.
Definitely, I am doing that.
Yeah.
Do what I say, don't do what I do.
Exactly. Just follow our trades. Not financial advice, but we'll see who wins. Put your money where your mouth is and place your bets. That's all. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, it's good training, right? Like all this movement.
Yeah.
Seeing these patterns, just trade a little amounts. You don't need to trade your whole fucking account.
Exactly. Don't go all in, because you learn the hard way. Well, obviously, learning the hard way scars you for life, and and then you really learn.
Yeah, I got some negative positions right now, but I'm also looking at buying. Like, I got some stuff in the green as well.
Yeah, and
like I bought,
something too that's been plaguing companies is that they've been also believing the Fed and their 2% transitory inflation. So a lot of companies have been restraining themselves from actually raising their prices, which is why you haven't seen too much like consumer goods actually raise in prices. You know, we've seen like grocery bills probably doubled now, but you actually haven't seen it that much because they've been eating the cost of inflation, because their producer prices, their cost has increased, but they haven't raised their prices, and their earnings haven't been doing that well. But they're going to be trying to they're going to stop believing the Fed at one point, and they're going to raise their prices to compensate for the inflation, their rising costs, and they're going to pass it on to the consumer. And once you see that, then there you go. Then you're going to have a huge sell-off in the market. I don't know. I don't know why they even believe them in the first place. You know, they right now, that's a long shot. 2.6. They wanted to come down to 2.6 when we're at 7.2 and increasing steadily for 11 months straight.
Well, we got a lot, like, for people that pay attention to like ads, on YouTube, on wherever you fucking Facebook, whatever. We saw a massive as soon as COVID hit, we saw a massive surge in investment fucking ads.
Yeah,
like Quest Trade, fucking investment broker, or
Robin Hood, everything, Robin Hood, Gemini, all the investment apps. Yeah,
everybody was throwing out there. I think we have a lot, especially with the younger crowd there. We got a lot of new investors that have never seen
the market correction.
A market correction, yeah.
And they've never lived through it. They're gonna learn hard. They're gonna learn the difficult way to.
We're paying for it now because that money. Those fucking diamond, I want to say diamond hands, but they don't know why they're holding. You get what I'm saying?
They don't. They've never read an earnings report. They don't know what it is. They don't care for what it is.
They follow the newest indicator there, and they're like, this is
okay.
Good. I say that as I fucking am wrong. As the market acts differently.
Yeah, I know. As the market's been rising, we've been wrong.
I don't know. Do I adapt? Do I wait for a correct? Like, do I wait for my old school thinking to come through? I don't know. I feel like an old man as a young man.
Anyways, time will tell when we're right or not. But so far, I've been right about the inflation. Every time that jackass,
it's definitely a slower process.
Jerome Powell gets on the stand and says it's transitory, and I say it's not. And he says, well, I'm the Fed chairman. And then, 11 months later, okay, it's not transitory. It's
We
like,
might have. We
wow,
were wrong, but
wow.
it's not transitory.
Yeah, we weren't wrong.
We weren't wrong.
We
but it's
weren't
not
wrong
transitory.
because how could we have seen this coming? That's the best one. It says when he said nobody could have seen this coming, and it's just like nobody, except for like the people that have been yelling at me and saying it is.
Yeah, everybody in the Discord,
Yeah.
they all knew. We all know.
And we all know. Anyways, in the short term, if the markets do go down because of COVID, I could see Bitcoin dropping some more, even though we're nearing the bottom on the daily,
What levels do you think?
in the RSI. Oh, if COVID gets worse and the markets actually sell off, you're gonna see Bitcoin drop down below 30,000. You're gonna get down to the
Holy shit.
You're gonna get down to the $20,000 levels, to possibly even $11,000 if this is only if
What kind of time frame you putting on that?
this is
Like 2022?
in a month. It depends how bad and how fast COVID gets worse. This is all dependent on the media and how this blows up in traditional markets, right? You could see when Bitcoin was back in let's go back here, back in February 2020. COVID was getting bad, right? And the markets were starting to sell off a little bit. And Bitcoin from its high of like 10,000 went down to 16%. It was down to 8,600. And then when the markets had those 20% down days, 15%, whatever you want, Bitcoin dropped in only a couple of days. It took maybe a week, and it was down about, my chart's being fucky right now, but it was down like 60%, 64%. Right? It only takes a couple days for the sell-off to happen. So just be patient. Watch the charts. Watch what's going to happen to the markets. I hate to say it, but Bitcoin is really tied to the SP 500. When there's a big move now in traditional markets, because there's a lot of ads going on too. I don't know if you know, there's a lot of ads on CNBC about buying Bitcoin and stuff. So a lot of American investors are now into crypto. So when there's big news on the CPI, right, Bitcoin will rise up and sell off just like gold now. But it sells off significantly harder, right? Because it's crypto and it's more volatile. Because every time the CPI numbers would come out, gold would spike up like $40 and then sell off $45, $50 right after, or not exactly those prices, but we would see a big surge in gold, and then it would sell off right after because everyone would price it back in like, oh, this is not the real price because the Fed's gonna raise the rates and then gold will go down. But yeah. We're not wrong. We just need time.
Is there differences in all the fucking cryptocurrencies? How they act with the market?
Yeah, sometimes some cryptos just go up for no reason. Obviously,
do you know any fucking special relationships with
you really
cryptos?
need to know, like, since there's so many, you really need to know all the fundamentals about it. And a lot of the people in the Discord, they know a lot about the fundamentals of all the other cryptos, right? Like Daniel is big on XRP. And like for Dogecoin, like every time Elon tweets, there's a big,
God damn it,
there's
man.
a big.
I wish you didn't talk me out of buying Doge.
There's a if you guys don't know, I told Alex not to buy Doge when it was under 1/10 of a cent.
I was ready to put in like $5,000.
He could have retired, but I
paid
told
off
him.
my fucking house.
But I told him not to. The worst financial advice I've ever given someone.
I wish.
It's a good thing my brother did listen to me, because he bought it at 2 cents, and now he's still sitting happy.
Yeah, he's sitting nice.
He's sitting nice. He doesn't care. Anyways,
Yep.
This was a good chat. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Do you have anything
No
to
worries,
say?
man.
Do you have anything to say to the viewers? We'll do this. We'll try to do this once a week. Maybe next week we'll do this again.
Yeah, we'll try to get it. I'll try to get in every Sunday.
Every
I got
Sunday.
I got some traveling I need to do for
Okay.
the next 5 months, so it might be you might have to do a little solo. I might just send you a couple notes and everything.
That's
But
okay. That's okay. I'm gonna
I'll
read
try to
your.
make it when I can.
Perfect. Also, if you guys don't know, Alex is the head trader. There's $1,000 bounty if you guys can figure out who he is in the Discord. And if you guys figure it out, then come claim your bounty. But you'll never figure it
I'll
out.
let you guys know right now. I do not message. I read everything in the chat.
He messages
I'm
sometimes.
there for everything. I'm
He
all
messages.
seeing eye.
He's messaged.
I
He's
rarely
messaged a few times. You guys have to figure out who he is.
Maybe like 5 times total.
All right.
Did I give away too much?
No.
Ah,
just
well.
just shut your mouth.
All
All
right,
right.
guys. Again, this is not financial advice. Don't listen to us. We're just fucking idiots.
Okay. Peace.